everybody, it's Lennon. Today I want to do another VR from Natalia over at Ouroboros, and I want to do the hashtag my power today. And I thought a lot about this, and as you can see, I have this notebook, and I'm going to have it in every one of my videos. And I really soul searched and tried to figure out what I could say to this. And I thought, okay, well, what is power? I tried to define that, right? Well, we think of power as like some sort of control, like a dominance. And that's not the definition of power at all. The definition of power, okay, is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. Well, then that's speaking like it's an act. And think about what you say when someone asks you who you are. You say, I'm a teacher, I'm a baker, I'm a candlestick maker. Those are things that you do, not the things that you are. Not the things that are making you a human being. Those are things making you a human doing. A human doing. We're not human doings, okay? We do things, but we're not human doings. We're human beings. So what is it that makes you be? Still, even. What do you do when you're still? Can you turn your brain off at all? A lot of us say no. A lot of us say no. We don't want to listen to the silence. And I think it's important to. And I think that's part of claiming the power. I think it's the constant realization that we're on the journey of becoming a be and not a do. And I do think that's important to know the difference. And I listened to a philosopher, I guess you could call him a philosopher. He has a lot of videos on YouTube. It's kind of like a voiceover thing. Or maybe it's other people. I don't know if it's him. His name is Alan Watts, and he has a lot of great videos on a lot of great subjects. He taps into a whole bunch of things. And he says that just as a knife doesn't cut itself, fire doesn't illuminate itself. It's always an endless mystery to itself. Right? That means something. You're never going to know yourself because a knife's never going to know itself. And it doesn't base the fact that it's a knife on its cut. It just is. You just are. And we have to realize that. And maybe there's some courage there, right? There is very much courage when you associate with going on a journey, right? Think of the Fool card. And let's turn the page here. So if trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth, or you know that game you used to play as kids where you used to have to lick your elbow? It's impossible. It's an impossibility. Okay, again, that was a quote by Alan Watts. And so let's think about fear for a minute. Fear always takes hold of us. Okay? And fear is a natural instinct that we are supposed to have as mammals. Okay? This is a primal instinct. And it's there for a reason. It's there for our flight or fight. Okay, like in a life-death situation, not just all life situations. And I think that we often confuse nervousness for fear, and we let the nervousness kind of morph into fear, and we tell ourselves that. But fear needs to stay in the instinct side, okay? We don't need to plug fear in where it don't belong. And it's natural. I think we all do it. I think we all use that as some sort of excuse not to do something. And if you realize that we're all on hard paths and we're all on hard journeys, then I guess that would be an easier concept to grasp. But now, life is a journey, like a constant journey of realizing that we're on a journey. Okay, so if we see our power as a journey, the power of realization that we are on one, then claiming that power is trying to integrate it. Trying to integrate what makes us, not do, but be. And let's think of perception reality here. There's two sides of the brain, a left and a right. So you think there's constantly a dualistic standpoint of how your brain interprets things. Okay, so say sickness and health. You can't have sickness without health. It's like, okay, well, how do you know you're sick? Because I was healthy. I did feel good a minute ago, but now I feel like crap. And it's the same thing. Your brain has to have both to know the difference, or to know what something is. at least. And so if we look at it in a dualistic standpoint, then what you idolize and undervalue, those are mirrors. Two sides of the brain. It has to have both. You have to know what you idolize, and then you have to know what you undervalue for you to know anything. Or for you to know what this is, this point that connects the two. And if you don't know either one of them, then that's the fear, right? And we talked about that. We need to shove that over into the instinct. It needs to go back to the instinct, not into your everyday life. So, you're constantly in the battle between the two, okay, I think. And if you're on the journey, then you need to look at both sides of the coin, so to speak, when you journal about it, okay? So say, if I were to say, well, okay, who am I? I'll start out my journal prompt with what I do, right? Like I said, teacher, baker, candlestick maker. But then eventually I'm going to, like Natalia was saying in a whole other video, like I'm going to break the ice. I'm going to nesting doll way down. And I want to shovel. And you will eventually. Eventually you'll run out of things that you do. And you'll start to kind of automatic write. And it'll transform into something beautiful. It'll transform into the things that you are. And maybe not everything, because like I said, it's going to be like biting your own teeth. But when the fear stops us in our tracks, we need to find a way to tell ourselves that we're all on a journey. We're all trying to figure out what makes us be, not what makes us do. And I think that the feelings that we get in life in certain situations, not dangerous situations, okay, but we often mistake that, and I think that we manipulate that part of ourselves that we need for danger, and I think that can ultimately be a dangerous thing. And so somewhere along the line we have forgotten to use both sides of our brain to find anything out. We're stuck in the fear. We're stuck in, we don't want to claim the power, right? Because the word power has such a scary concept. We're like, I don't want the lightning bolt. Keep it, Zeus. Well, why did he have the lightning bolt in the first place? Because he knew who he was. And he knew that he wasn't just the bringer, right? He wasn't just the all, okay? He was so much more than that, and he knew that about himself, and that's why he was able to wield it. Okay, it's like Thor's hammer. Again, we're talking superheroes here. I don't know why I went down that path. But I think that that's what the basis is. If we are in a constant state of do and never in a constant state of be, we're never going to claim who we are and therefore the power that lies within. And so when I think of, like I said, journaling and back to the dualistic standpoint, if you want to ask yourself and start out with the things that you do and try to shovel and try to see where that leads you, that would be a great journal entry, right? But then think of it in a dualistic standpoint and say, what am I not? Okay? So, for example, I'm not a teacher. And then I think, okay, well, that's not true. I teach people all the time. I teach people something. I can teach people something, so that's not true, so I scratch that out. And then you keep going down the list of what you aren't, because then you're activating both sides. You're constantly thinking about what I am, but then when you try to when you try to put to paper what you aren't, that's eventually going to collide. And I think that is a great way to shovel. Look at it from two sides, and you might learn some things about yourself. And I think that that's part of the journey. That's part of claiming who you are and ultimately your power. Okay, so let's talk about tarot now. And I've got the whole major arcana, but I'm only going to pick the two that she said. And so, now, the two that I would idolize. Okay, now I think of, like she was saying, we really have to think about the term idolization here. We think about being envious, like this is what I want out of life. This is the utmost, right? And I thought about, immediately the high priestess comes up. She's everything I want. She's everything that I want in life. I want to be the bringer of your intuition, okay? I want you to find a sense of mystery with me, okay? Even though people would say my face is an open book, so there's not much mystery there. So, but I wanted it to be definable, like the mystery of it, like, oh, look, there's Lennon, she's mysterious. And, oh, look, she's giving me that look, I know what that means. Or even a sense of sageness, a sense of wiseness. Because I've always been an old soul, so I tend to want people to think that of me, that I'm the wise one, okay? Maybe that's a little conceited. I don't know. But I do idolize those aspects of her because that's what I want. And like Natalia said, these are mirrors. So I've taken myself on a journey with the idolization and the undervalue cards because I want to activate both sides of my brain. And let's try to find some things out about myself. Now, the other card that I had picked out was the Star. Okay? Now, I could have said something about the fact that this is Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. Maybe that's why I idolize with her, but it's not. And we're talking idolization here, okay? Look at her. She's nude at night, alone. And I'm thinking, this is me, right? This is what I want. I want to be confident in my own skin to go out naked at night by myself, no less, not scared, and just pour some water in the stream and just be amongst the fireflies and be amongst the stars. And I think that when I think of that concept and I think of going out by myself, going out, maybe not naked, okay, but when I think of that, I'm like, I don't get that in life. I don't get to go out. Now, there's a lot of time that I spend alone and in my silence because I think that's important. And I do value that about myself, that I am able to just sit and not speak, not listen to anything, and be alone with myself. I'm very good at that. But then I'm not out, right? I'm not out at like the local park by myself. I'm not out at the movies by myself. Okay? Some people have a hard time with that. Like, I know some people that will not go to the movies by themselves. It's like almost like they are scared of what people will think about them. Oh, she's just lonely. Who cares? Right? I've done it. It's perfectly fine to do that or go eat dinner by yourself. Table for one, please. I want to enjoy this. I want to stuff my face with some calamari, and I don't want anybody sitting across from me to judge me. No one's going to. And no one in the restaurant cares anyway. So it's good. And so that's what I value about her. On the surface, she just looks so in touch with herself, in touch with her body, comfortable with her body even. And I love that about that card. So those are my two idolization cards. Now, on to the notes, right? Now, in a previous video, I said that I hate him, okay? Because he's like the Pope. He's the priest, right? And I am very much still in healing from the dogma and the fear that was the church, okay? And I do a lot of research when it comes to what people have endured in the church and then I take that into consideration when I think about what I've endured in the church and the suppression and oppression that people have felt with monotheism in general. And I'll say that in just a generalized sense. And so I have a hard time with this card. And it's because I undervalue that aspect of the priest, right? This guy who, if you think about it, there's nothing really, he's just doing what he thinks is right. He's being the conduit between spirit and you. And he honestly believes that you need the middleman, okay? I'm talking in the sense of like Catholicism here, I think. I'm not a Catholic. And I think that he does believe that. So there's nothing wrong with it. I just undervalue that because of my own relationship with religion. And then but when I think of the card, I undervalue it because I think of this like the sense of being in a cage. I just think that the act of asking forgiveness. It's like, why can't I do that myself? Why do I have to, why the middleman? Okay. Plus, I very much think that we're all divine. So, in like a pantheist type of a way. So, I very much undervalued that. But I do value, and upon thinking about that, the fact that I undervalue it, I thought about religion as a whole and how religion is needed for culture. It's needed to make the baseline. That's like the baseline of all cultures, right? The difference in religion. So, apart from language. And I think that cultures have that, and that's their basis of existing. And so I have tried to look again at the dualistic standpoint of that, and that was eye-opening. And the second card was the Judgment card. Okay, again, this in the Rider-Waite-Smith looks like the Rapture, right? So, and I always had a problem with this because of the relationship I had with the church and the fear that came with, well, if I don't believe, am I not going to get rose up with them? Am I not going to be one of these devotees that gets to go up? Am I just going to be stuck, or worse, go to hell and get burned for eternity? Because there were so many questions that I had about homosexuality, or like my own urges, my own things that would seem looked down upon at the church. And I thought, this feels natural. Some of this stuff feels completely natural. And why am I made to feel guilty about some of the things that in my own body feel natural? And so there was some fear, like I said, the fear there about, was I not going to be part of this group? Was I not going to be in the boat? So I undervalued that. But again, like I said, that's a religion thing. And which was an interesting thing to touch base on, I guess. So those are my 4 cards. And I have taken a lot of notes about this, but I do encourage everybody, even if you think you know yourself, I encourage you to take both sides of the coin and watch her video, because it's great. And so I'll leave her link below, and I hope everybody has a good day.